Good evening. My name is Clay Marshall Smalley Jr. This is my ICSR 590 Symposium presentation. The Economy of My Graduate Study in America, How SRSC Program Awakened Me to Conclusion to Advocate for Racial and Social Justice. I have 30 years of working experience with mentally, physically challenged individuals and at-risk youth. Currently, I work for the Warren County Day Treatment Program, an alternative program for high school youth through the Warren County Public School System. The youth attending our alternative program have been removed from their home school in court order to attend and complete our program before transitioning back to their home school or until they age out of our program. The youth participating in this program have various offenses such as truancy, drug possession, promiscuity, and fighting, to name a few. Rebellion is a common factor with the youth in our program. That rebellion comes into play daily as the students test us in an attempt to show out in front of each other and is directed at our staff. My position allows me to share my past experiences in childhood and beyond in hopes of helping these young individuals see a better future and directing them on that path. Recently, I had a horrendous experience attempting to de-escalate a 16-year-old, 6'2", 230-pound black student that made me question if I wanted to continue working in this field. Warren County Day Treatment operates on the phase system of behavior modification. I was supervising lunch for two male co-workers, one being my immediate supervisor, program director, the other a teacher assistant, when the incident occurred. These students had lost their speaking privileges during lunch, and when I reminded them of the program recovery policy, I was told to shut the fuck up by the student in question, and that he didn't have to follow any day treatment policies. I immediately asked my supervisor, who was standing 3 feet away, to address the situation, but it was ignored. These are types of situations and responses I deal with on a daily basis. I felt betrayed and incensed and immediately went to the administrative building to regain my composure. I continued to feel destroyed, humiliated, and also questioning why I'm here. Warren County Day Treatment is zero tolerance policy for violence, fighting, and threatening behavior. If a student engages in terroristic threatening, threats of violence, or any type of defiant behavior, the program director will take appropriate action. In this case, the student was allowed to stay in more secluded area while listening to music. The program director, instead of being suspended, Day Treatment is supposed to be a highly structured program with specific expectations. But I felt like we have no support from the judicial system and that we are literally walking on eggshells to deal with specific behavior. I grew up in a small rural town in Kentucky and spent most of my youth living in the housing projects. My father, although a disabled veteran, ran a community center for black youth. In my hometown, the white community lived in one area and the black community lived in another. The community center provided a place for black youth together to learn, to play, and to be mentored by the adults in our community. We not only interacted with our local community, but we engaged individuals outside our community. My father, mother, and other adult leaders in the black community worked diligently to instill core values to embrace all people, no matter their ethnicity. The core values include service, social justice, dignity, and worth of a person, important human relations, integrity, and competence. This is the story of my journey from social work to social responsibility and sustainable communities, and how the SRSC program awakened me to continue to advocate and fight for racial and social justice. Seeing these core values in the Western Kentucky University MSW program initially attracted me. Due to the busy work schedule and still feeling the effects and emotions of passing my father, I dropped out of the MSW program in 2013. Also, I thought the MSW program would be more hands-on. Instead, it's a lot of reading and paper writing based on clinical knowledge, which I wasn't used to when I had practical experience. It did not allow the use of my background in social work effectively. Still wanting to continue my education and reluctant to revisit the SMW program due partly to my disconnection with the material used. 3 years later, I was fortunate enough to discover the SRSC program. which sparked renewed interest, and my advisor accepted a maximum 12 credit hours in my English study work, which has allowed me to finish the SRSC in more than 1.5 years, enhancing human well-being and helping to meet the basic needs of all individuals, with particular attention to the needs and empowerment of individuals who are vulnerable, oppressed, living in poverty, or homeless is my goal. The SRSC program will give me the opportunity to promote social justice and social change and to work with community partners and other cultural and ethnic diversity groups. I seek to embrace, collaborate, and empower community change, organizing, supervision, advocacy, education, research, evaluation, and social political action. Randy Stoker states, Review Community Action organizers are technical assistant experts. Technical experts know how to get people to meetings, organize them for action, negotiate power holders for policy changes, and use the other skills required for effective community change. Often those experts come from outside the community and do not know about the community or its issues without experience. They cannot be just the leaders they need to build leadership within the community. The economy of America is separate and not equal. Wolf, in The End of America, discussed the recurrent echoes between historical events, the past, and the despotic forces occurring today. Americans expect to have freedom around us like we expect to breathe in fresh air daily. Our founding fathers set up freedom to save Americans from the kind of tyranny that could emerge in the future. Liberty, like our natural resources, is taken for granted. Americans see both as self-replenishing and little or no idea of how our system protects or should protect our liberties. Founders saw the process of liberty as being special and risk their lives for this experiment called freedom. As Wolf says, our founding fathers carefully crafted a mechanism for checks and balances in the Bill of Rights that would protect these extreme manifestations of freedom. Unfortunately, the vision did not include African Americans, who are seen as being 3/5 of a person. My argument with Wolf focused on her description of racist tactics and racist shifts in America. Wolf states, when I talk about a racist shift in America, I'm speaking of an anti-democratic ideology that uses the threat of violence against the individual in order to subdue institutions of civil society to be subordinated to the power of the state. Wolf discusses America's impressionistic view of Mussolini and Hitler, rise to power, violence, as well as the Bush administration and supporters who use economic pressure to silence or punish groups targeted in the face of shift. Wolf states, when you speak out in America, you probably feel physically safe. You don't expect to be intimidated physically, let alone be beaten up. Finally, Wolf addresses all preachers in America to confront those who commit crimes against the Constitution and to hold them accountable as the founders trusted us to do. As a patriot, I, along with other African Americans, hold white America accountable for its horrific past. If Wolf challenged my sense of place as an American, Paul Keeble, a white or red during my social work courses, continues to influence me daily, showed me in his book, Uprooting Racism, describes the cause of racism in African Americans and other individuals of color. The opposite of benefit is disadvantage, and African Americans face recognizable disadvantages which have to do with economics, discrimination, violence, and cultural exploitation. Keeble states that wealth is tremendously unequally distributed in America. When describing the economic pyramid, African Americans and people of color are preponderantly on the bottom of the middle of the pyramid. 8% makes up the bottom half of the pyramid, while 19% of the population controls 44% of the total net financial wealth in America. 1% of the population, which is mostly white males, control 47% of the total net financial wealth in America. Keeble addresses this benefits of slavery to white people, saying that most of our families did participate in and benefit from slavery, even while poor parents arrived here after slavery ended. The issue with moving on from slavery is that white people seldom accept or admit the deep-rooted repercussions of more than 200 years of slavery compared to the Holocaust or Japanese detention camp victims. Slavery was officially abolished in 13th Amendment. African Americans still suffer from the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, from economic and cultural exploitation and everyday violence, including lynchings, rape, physical attack, and other forms of mob violence, political disenfranchisement, mass incarceration, and almost total segregation in the South and North, which continues today. The effects of that exploitation continue today in the form of mass incarceration, police brutality, and gentrification. The minimization of the past horrific experiences of African Americans contribute to America's denial of present injustices. The economy of America, mass incarceration, and police brutality. In America today, we are living through the criminalization and mass incarceration of African American men, women, and youth, and unwarranted police brutality due to the government's fanatical efforts to address drug usage in poor minority areas. There was nothing particularly new about mass incarceration. Michelle Alexander examines the history behind mass incarceration in her book, The New Jim Crow. Alexander argues biased racist police practices are recurring themes of blacks were targeted by the police suspected runaway slaves. Every drug war that has been waged in the United States has been prompted by racial bias. To understand how to combat the racial bias of police brutality, white Americans must educate themselves on the history of police relations with African American males. During the era of slavery, slave patrols and night watches were established to control the movement and behavior of slaves. The first slave patrol was said to be organized in 1704 for the purpose of stopping slave revolts. White males made up these patrols who walked the streets monitoring slaves. Acts of violence that allowed for whipping and the mutilation of slaveholders as punishment for crimes committed by slaves became widespread throughout the nation, especially in southern states. The Reconstruction era following the Civil War did not see a reduction in violence against African American males. Vigilante groups and lynch mobs attacked African Americans with fewer external constraints from law enforcement and local governments. Former Confederate governments did nothing to protect African Americans, and in some situations, they created a non-protected environment by passing a series of black codes that economically and socially disenfranchised African Americans. In some cases, police joined local white mobs to attack black communities. For example, mob attacks and killings of black residents in St. Louis in the summer of 1917 revealed that the local police were involved. These acts of violence continued into the late 19th century as formal forces began to surface in various cities and counties in America. Police brutality began to incite riots as early as the 20th century. Segments of society began to organize to fight against what was seen as injustice. Brutality against young black males by police continued into the 21st century. There now exists a systematic cultural oppression and marginalization of African American males that exceeds all social economic classes and pervades every social institution, excluding the family and the African American church, and including law enforcement. So what steps can the black community, grassroots organizations, and the police take to reduce violence against black males? Cultural sensitivity training is a viable, proactive measure. It can be used to decrease the possibility of lethal encounters between police and black males. America is made up of individuals from different cultural backgrounds. Culture includes the shared collective worldview, language, food, music, art, religious traditions, styles of communication, modes of dress, and body posture of the group that must be experienced and fully appreciated. Having a theoretical knowledge of cultural differences is not enough. Culture must be experienced within the context of a particular people. Obtaining a law enforcement degree usually doesn't require having hands-on community experience. The incidence of police shootings of unarmed black males will be positively impacted if during police training and preparation, police were taught the value of being spiritually and culturally related to others. Social workers trained in cultural immersion experiences specific to the life experiences and needs of black males can aid in the enforcement of training police officers to reduce the negative perception of black males and the black community as a whole. Law enforcement